Zero.
It's Radio Zero with Rick and Rose. Friday, June 2nd, 2023. Do you know where your garage sale is? How come it's not live on my...
Oh, no. Really?
No,
Is
it probably
not
is. No,
working?
because I got on my watch, it was like all of a sudden it was like, Poster Children is live. Hurry up.
Okay, you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Go to radiozero.us. We're live streaming on Facebook on the Radio Zero page and Poster Children page. Once again at the Friday, 4 p.m. Central Time, every other Friday. We're back at that time. Who knows if that'll happen again, but if more often than not, we are live streaming at that
I see
time.
it now.
Twitch at PCJC USA and on the Poster Children YouTube channel. You can patronize us at patreon.com/Radio Zero. Thanks to everybody who is supporting us through Patreon.
And Larry is the first to say hi. Greetings and salutations, Larry.
We have some shows coming up. Poster Children, June 23rd, Madison, Wisconsin at the High Noon Saloon with Howler and Vom Bomb. And June 24th in Normal, Illinois, Make Music Normal. That's a Saturday night. We'll be playing at 9 p.m. There's live music all Friday and Saturday.
And open mics too, I think. If you look at Make Music Normal, it's supposed to be a participatory event. So you know, you can get on the stage with us. No, it's not that when we're playing, it's not participatory. I remember
July 15th, Cudahy, Wisconsin, very close to Milwaukee, at the X-Ray Arcade with Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends and Delicious Monsters.
We know them.
I think those are all the shows we have scheduled now. We have said previously there are some shows that weren't announced yet. I believe that is everything that we have planned for the next few months, if not for the rest of the year. For
the rest of our lives.
I don't know where else we'd play in the next... Well, no, please don't say.
Oh, yeah.
Please play Hawaii. Although,
we
Mike,
will.
we would love to, Mike.
You fly us out there.
But
Larry says it isn't summer without the Poster Children. And it's summer here.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's beautiful out. It's in the 90s. I love it.
I walked to a meeting. I had to park.
Why are you wearing pants?
Pants. Because it was a meeting. I walked to a meeting
You
at
could wear a fucking kilt.
8
you know
in
that?
the morning.
Yeah.
Because there's some kind of car show on our campus, and so I couldn't park near the meeting. I walked and I was sweating buckets.
You should have taken my parasol.
It was a 5-minute walk, and I was sweating for the next hour in the middle of this meeting. It was awful.
The meeting had air conditioning though, right?
Yeah, but not as much as your typical. I guess what it is that it's in the 90s.
Oh yeah, they don't expect it to be that hot probably right now. The air conditioning is not up yet.
The building was actually very comfortable, but if you're a rolling tub of lard like me who sweats, who's got a very low dew point or a very high dew point, and I got a low dew point, and my dew point has been exceeded already. It's June. It's the beginning of June, and I'm already just constantly sweating.
But again, you're wearing heavy pants. Like
I'm not
shorts.
Yeah, I'm not going to wear. That's where I draw the line.
Yeah, wearing a shorts to a meeting. But you're off contract now.
That's right. But that doesn't mean that
you should wear shorts.
That I should just flaunt.
Wearing like
a t-shirt and shorts.
You have nice legs. You could do it. You could totally pull it off.
I don't think I could.
Larry's saying Rick playing live with a kilt would be tremendous. You see, anytime a man puts a dress on, all you hear is about how their air is flowing through their balls and how much they love it. And yet you guys still continue to wear pants.
That was not the sweaty part of my body, actually.
What was sweating? Your armpits?
No, actually, no. I don't sweat profusely through my armpits. I mostly sweat through my head, but today it was I just had a chest patch.
I was sitting outside. So today is the Founders Grove Neighborhood Association garage sales. So I was outside all morning, like hawking our wares, just like selling stuff. It was great. It was really fun. Like it's like I was. It's and Larry says that he cannot wear jeans in the summer. He totally boils.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't wear jeans.
Well, I don't. Those are some kind of canvas pants that you're wearing.
They're not canvas. They're high tech pants. So they're supposed to be good for any temperature. And on top of it, I mean, if I had gone to this meeting and then I came back and said, well, I wore shorts and I was freezing, you would say, you should have worn long pants. You should have known that it would be cold.
You wouldn't have been cold in the meeting, probably. I don't know. I once again have to thank you. You are the greatest husband in the world for letting us not put air conditioning on. I'm very earth conscious, and so I don't want the air conditioning on during the day. So the other
You're
thing
earth conscious unless the temperature outside drops below 65, and then it's like we should turn on the heat. Let's burn the planet.
Yeah, but
I'm cold.
Radiators, so it's okay.
It's okay. I'm just gonna put the planet on the fire
and
to keep warm.
We have nice free air conditioning units, knock on wood, that we got from across the street. The woman, remember? Oh no, one of them came from your old house.
One of them is
my
actually,
house.
you know where I bought that air conditioning unit?
Where?
Small window unit.
Where?
I bought it at Sears in town here.
Wow.
I think it might have been the only time I bought anything at
Sears
since we moved here. So that would have been in the early 2010s.
And Larry is saying air conditioning is overrated. It is totally overrated. It's not even overrated. I was sitting in my office like a week ago, and I was so cold that I got almost severely ill. I was like sitting in a meat locker. Like I was trapped in a meat locker. I had to go outside. It was so cold. I can't believe it.
That's funny. I was moving around outside, sweating my ass off, and I nearly died. So apparently, there's no
Kim
middle ground.
Says, hi, if you live in Phoenix, not if you live in Phoenix, Arizona, but we keep it at 80, and we have solar. Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Nice.
It's a dry heat, though, Kim, in Phoenix, I'll never forget.
I'm only allowed to say that once.
About this, walking around in Tucson, and just like it was over 100, and this was a long time ago before global warming. We were on tour, and I remember just like the air was like I was sweating, but the air was just evaporating right off of me, and I was like, "This is cool." I really liked that. So, but thank you, Rick, for letting us not put. And the other thing is that when we did have working air conditioning in this house. The air conditioning, like it would only work on the second floor, and you'd have to have all the windows shut, and it would still be like 85 in the house, and it would be like all the windows would be all shut.
I don't want to get into
every
this
year.
argument
Every year
again.
we talk about this.
Yeah,
Kim says mostly until
you cannot
monsoon.
run, whole house air conditioning like a window unit. You can't just turn it on and off on a whim, and you're supposed to keep it sort of. You can't just like, oh wait, it's 79 degrees outside. I'm going to open all the windows now, and then the humidity goes up in the house.
I know, but also like at night, like so you keep it at 80 degrees in the house, and then at night it gets down to 63, and you're like, oh, it's beautiful outside, but you can't open the windows because yes.
Yeah.
Christopher Lee Schneberger from Moon says, I always think I'm going to go without air conditioning each year, and then
I nearly die.
It gets to 85 and 90% humidity.
I wake up in the hospital and they say, you have heat stroke. What are you doing?
Are we going to talk about our show, our show that we had in Chicago that everybody came to? Like so many people came to
just mentioning Chris, watching him desperately try to finish his puzzle after the show.
Oh, that was hysterical.
On
Not
Saturday
really
night.
funny. I'm glad that the players of Moon and Poster Children were lethally. Let's see, you guys were deterred delayed from finishing their
Well,
New York Times crossword puzzle.
I finished my
Not a
Saturday
sponsor.
puzzle, but Chris,
Okay.
was past. It was midnight, and he was desperately trying to finish it. But then,
Well,
and he did.
They're
and
gonna hear.
got through, and I've always had, and I was like, oh yeah, I've done it as late as like 2 a.m, and it's been okay. And then the next day, I didn't finish the Sunday puzzle, and I went
Just because
until
you got sidetracked, right, or something.
totally Sunday
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
what we drove home on Sunday.
Right.
And then I cleaned the house on Sunday because I hadn't cleaned the house in a couple of weeks because we've been rehearsing and stuff. And then something else happened. I think I had to. Oh no, I didn't call my mom because we saw her, so I didn't have to call her. So I can't remember. Oh, Succession. We'll talk about that and Barry ended. So I had to watch those. And then so I had started my puzzle, but then I woke up at 7 a.m. and panicked. I actually woke up thinking, "Oh my God, I didn't finish the puzzle, the Sunday puzzle." And so
I did that with my
7
Duolingo.
in the morning.
Oh God.
I finished it. At 7:30, I finished the Sunday puzzle, and my streak was maintained. I got 8 hours, almost 8 hours after midnight.
Don't let the New York Times hear you. And so I don't know what bands, like I don't know what punk rock bands that you listen to, like when you, hey, let's talk about our show. Okay, and then it's like 5 minutes of talking about how you nearly like messed up your New York Times crossword puzzle streaks. But that's Poster Children and Moon.
Yeah, but that's why we're not punk rock bands.
Andy, well, no, I think that's why we are punk rock bands. Andy says, "Oh no, I'm 3 episodes behind on Barry." So you're gonna have to not do the spoil. You're gonna have to try not to spoil it. But wait,
all I can do to not spoil Barry is to tell you maybe you should stop watching one episode before the last one, and I think that'll be great. I don't think you should watch the last episode. That's my recommendation. It's not a spoiler. I won't talk in detail, but
okay. Back to our show. So let's do a review of our show. And before that, I had a book talk at a really interesting place. What is it? Was it Michigan Avenue?
yeah, the Fine Arts Building.
Yeah, the Fine Arts Building in Michigan Avenue at Exile in Bookville, like one of the most beautiful spaces I've ever been to in my life. And I walked in and I was like, wow, listen to that music. That sounds like us. Oh, it was us. But I didn't have to run out. Well, we did go out, but usually if you walk into like a bookstore and it's like, oh my God, or you walk into a record store and they're playing your music and then, you don't want to be in there because it's embarrassing. But it sounded good. And it looked like the greatest bookstore in the world. And then we went all the way. We took the elevator. You want to talk about the elevator?
Yeah, but I mean, they've got it's got a music focus to it. I don't think it's exclusively music focused, but it's got it's got a lot of the 33 and a third books in there and everything. So it was very. I mean, Exile in Bookville. I'm assuming that it's specifically. So it was great. Yeah. The Fine Arts Building. I mean, again, I talked. Yeah, we talked to my mom the next day and trying to figure out why I would have been in the Fine Arts Building as a child. But I do remember that building because I didn't have lessons there. But people would have music lessons in the Fine Arts Building. Still do. Yeah. So we went to the top floor.
Yeah.
In the elevator, which was run by an elevator operator. So it was like, oh, should I push the button? And the guy, I can't remember his name. One of the co-owner of Exile in Bookville said, oh no. And the guy the elevator just showed up and the guy was there. So if you press the button for the elevator, it would just ring a bell to tell him that you were waiting on floor 2.
And we went up to floor 9. We saw kids with like cello cases and violin cases because there were people having music lessons in there, and they're like up at the top. There was like a music store, like a sheet music store. We went in there for a minute or two, and
that whatever building Carl Fisher Music was in. You were talking about going to Carl Fisher Music when you
I
were
was
a kid,
very
and
little.
The guy who ran the music store in the Fine Art or the sheet music store at the top of the Fine Arts Building said, "Oh yeah, that would have been. When did that close?" in the early 80s. He
Yeah,
said
right.
Carl Fisher Music, but I had been there too. I remember going to Carl Fisher Music, which was gigantic.
Yeah.
It seemed like a whole floor of whatever building. He said the building's gone, but this was a little smaller, but it was the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sheet music store. It was
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah, it was
Time
really
travel.
You can, I mean, if you go to the music shoppy here, they have sheet music there.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
like all
no,
the-
I'm
like-
talking
yeah,
about
but it's still
going so when you went to Carl Fisher Music, I think it had been there for 100 years, and you
Yeah.
walk in and it's full. It was full of sheet music, just like when you go to a record store and you could leaf through it, and then also it felt 100 years old.
right.
And this place the guy had only been it had only been there for 40 years in the Fine Arts Building, but since the Fine Arts Building is over 100 years old, I think, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Chris says the Studebaker Theater where they record Wait, Don't Tell Me is in that building. So
Yeah.
you watched that, but
I
you
think
didn't
I went there I saw Wait, Don't Tell Me before they were in the Studebaker Theater.
Mm.
They were in is it the First National Bank building or whatever? What used to be that building? It was in that modern 70s bank building.
So here are the things that I forgot to do on the stage at the show. First of all, like I think I called out John and Heidi. So John and Heidi from Domestica, Mercy Rule, 13 Nightmares. They were there and they were at my book talk too. And I was like looking because I'm really bad at recognizing people. But them I recognized. I was like, oh my God, John and Heidi are here, and I was like, that looks just like John and Heidi. How could it not be? Even though they're from really far away. And so like I kind of beckoned to you. I'm like, look, because you were talking to somebody else, and then you kind of verified it for me. I was like, oh, thank God that is them, because I thought I was hallucinating them. So they were there, all the way from Nebraska, and then Caleb like flew in from Austin, Texas, and then Tarek was there from Kentucky. Who else? Like I meant like I wanted to call people out. I wanted to say, oh, who came from all the different far places and stuff on the stage, and I didn't do that, and I feel bad. Somebody came from Atlanta too. Somebody flew in from Atlanta. Now I can't remember. Jesus Christ. So I mean, we're just and like what did either John or Heidi said, like, well, bands aren't going on tour, so we have to, and they had seen House of Large Sizes the night before.
That's right.
And House of Large Sizes is in action again, and I want to play a show with all of us. Wouldn't that be cool? And Walt Mink, that'd be really cool. I was trying to figure out where that should happen.
Somewhere in the middle of
the
United States.
It's still kind of hard to play because we have to take care of our kids. We left them here, but one of them's almost 20. I understand.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
But
and
still,
one of them is about to go away for a week.
Yeah,
on a bus to Washington D.C. So it's not like they're babies.
So should we talk about how great Moon was since Chris is listening?
Sure.
My God, they were so good. It was so nice that we finally got to play with them too. So like we've known these people forever, and DJ and them folk were there. DJ and Dixie were there. People from Wisconsin. Yeah.
See, now you're gonna forget somebody. Now
I know I suck.
Yeah. You're
sorry, you guys.
naming.
It was like a love fest though. It was just so nice. Like I felt like and then I'm really bad at recognizing people. So, but I felt like I knew everybody. I was like, I know everybody in this whole audience. And the other thing I forgot to do was to find out if there were any of our students there, because people were asking us about ISU. Remember, like on the stage, when you guys had some kind of, or you had some sort of a technical problem at the beginning with your guitar. What happened?
2 of the strings were popped on my guitar.
So you had to change 2 strings?
No, they just came off of the. Like I don't know if my guitar fell over or something.
Oh,
so
okay.
I had to retune and recalibrate my guitar, which normally doesn't happen.
Chris is saying they had an amazing time playing with us too. Everything was so great, except that you almost lost your streak. But it's great that you didn't lose your New York Times crossword puzzle streak.
I'm just amazed that you have at least you have an 8-hour buffer. I even looked at what's the latest time zone on the planet, and it was 30 minutes after it was past midnight Sunday in the farthest time zone. So I don't understand why I was able to push that streak.
We were loading equipment out, and it was, I remember it was 11:56, and I did this again too. My Duolingo, I don't have, like, I've got a 700-day streak on Duolingo.
Duolingo is not forgiving at all.
Oh,
they don't. I feel like if I've finished a Duolingo, I've started it and finished it right at midnight, and it says you've lost your streak.
Yeah.
But other times I've gotten
got
2
like
days credit also, actually.
Yeah, you get like a streak save.
Yeah.
So Chris, here's so I ran into John Norton. This is really funny. I ran into John Norton from WGLT here, not a sponsor, the NPR station here in Bloomington. And I just, like, I was at work, and there's nobody on campus last week, and like I see him walking down the street, and I'm like, oh my God, it's John Norton. And he's like, I'm going to buy chicken. He's like telling me about how he's going to Jewel to buy chicken because you can only buy it at a certain time on, I think it was a Monday or something like that.
Like cooked chicken?
No, like you got to go to the deli. It's the one on College, and you can go and this man has a voice like, like one of the top 5 voices in the world for me. Like, who's the guy from Texas? NPR man from Texas.
Wade Goodwin.
Wade Goodwin, right? Okay, so who I miss. I don't know where we should look him up and find out where he is. But John Norton, who's kind of like
he usually does the mass shootings, right? Wade Goodwin usually.
Right, and Rick makes fun, like doesn't make fun of him, imitates him. But can you do a John Norton voice?
No.
Okay.
Wade Goodman's more like
Wade Goodman
is more like he just sounds so kind of down home. Good feeling, but he's always reporting about some atrocity. It's just like, and 15 children were slaughtered. It just seems, Wade Goodwin seems too folksy to be reporting whatever local tragedy has happened in Texas.
Yeah.
That makes it to the national NPR.
But anyway, John Norton's got kind of like a sort of a hoarse sort of voice, like type thing. I don't know anything about how people develop their voices for being a DJ.
He's been a radio professional for
just, you can hear this on the web. You can listen
decades.
to him on it's just, but there he was walking down the street, and he's like telling me about why he's going to buy chicken. And I'm like, I just looked at him. I'm like, your voice, it's so magical. I can't believe you're standing here talking to me. It permeates our walls in our house. We hear it. It probably freaked him out a little bit. But then he told me, and I don't know why, Chris, but he said, you really made Chris's day by you guys playing together. And I was like, why do you know that? That's weird. Like I didn't like it because I don't know if John Norton's a fan of ours. Like,
it's weird when people we know
each other.
Yeah.
And you don't live here, Chris.
Yeah.
The red plate is gone. It's because the garage sale, Larry. Well, don't worry about it. I took it.
Really?
Yeah, I put it underneath all my jewelry at the garage sale.
Okay.
I put it is underneath the
I just
poster
assumed
children
it was
poster.
behind the poster.
No, I took it. So back to John Norton talking about Chris like that, and then he was like incredulously talking about. So Chris, I was like, I was listening to your band, and I was like, the vocals are pretty high. I was thinking of all the different bands that, like, the only band that came to my mind. Now this is going to insult Chris, and he's going to hate me forever. But I was like, wow, they sound kind of like Jane's Addiction. Oh my God, it sounds so amazing. But then John Norton is talking to me. He's like, I know Chris is a fan of yours, and I can't do the John Norton voice, but when he's telling me all about this, he's like, but then he turned me on to this Rush documentary, and he's in it. You know that? You know that he's in there. He is in the Rush documentary. So you maybe you guys are influenced by Rush. I don't know. Which is
you're
really
saying
cool.
The high voice is not just.
I guess I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. You guys were amazing though. It was awesome. And then to hear John Norton talking about you, and he interviewed you guys too. He interviewed Moon. So that was my Monday. That was my Monday after the show. John is great. He wrote about us and apparently likes the new Moon album a lot.
Yeah.
Well, wait, how come Moon doesn't play down here? Oh, because nobody goes to see shows here?
It's a
Should play,
it's a tough town.
Yeah, yeah.
Not as tough as Champaign. Well, no,
right.
Champagne's got a place. Or I can't remember the name of it now. The country bar.
There's some
Former
kind of
country
problem
bars.
with you can't play at the night shop for some reason. Yeah, here. They love Jane's Addiction too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was amazing. You guys were just
Don't
fantastic.
pigeonhole.
Yeah. Yeah. We'd love to play there again. Night shop is a great. Yeah, you have to watch out. You can't.
All right.
Yeah, the heck you say. Okay, all right. So let's move on. So that was our show. You're just going to talk all about Moon and how great they were. I had a fun time on the stage. I really liked it. If you guys see me laughing and smiling and stuff like that, it's because I enjoy being on the stage. And that club, oh my God, so the guy who books the club, Kevin, was so sweet to us, and everybody in the whole club was so nice. The club is called the Bottom Lounge. And everybody was just so, and I'm past the point where I'm like, where's our like sending them a food rider and stuff. I haven't done that. I didn't do that or anything like that. I'm just like, oh wow, they have bottles of water for us. That's great. It's just like post-COVID, this club is still open and booking us. I'm not going to be like, we're going to need 5 meals and a 6-pack or whatever. It's like so we didn't ask for anything. But everybody was really nice. I just thought everybody was really nice. And the stage is just like this big box, like flat. It's not like hard to play on that stage. It's just a wonderful wooden stage. It's a nice height. The sight lines are open, and there's like a parking lot that bands can park in. Like
That's what I like.
Rick likes the parking lot.
Yeah, I like not having to unload and then search for a parking spot for an hour before sound check.
Kim, yeah, look up Moon because they're influenced by Rush and Jane's Addiction, and yeah, they're fantastic. Okay, what else about the show? I love the club. Oh, I was going to say something. I can't remember what else I was going to say. Oh, the sound sounded really good too. It seemed like on the stage sound was really good. The sound people were really nice. And they weren't even our sound people. They were just there, we didn't bring them with.
I remember that from previous shows.
Just absolutely wonderful. It was wonderful. Squared Circle, the story of hypnosis. Hypnosis.
Oh,
Are you going to go see that? Is that the Spider-Man movie?
No, but it's not playing in theaters anywhere near us, right? But is it available on streaming yet? I'm very interested. I have a hypnosis book.
Wait, what is that?
It's the photographer and designer who did all the record covers, basically.
Like the Who record cover and like all that. Like,
did they do Who's Next? I feel like they must have. I can't remember if they did Who's Next. But yeah, like Dark Side of the Moon, like Breakfast in America, just ran any kind of iconic record cover from the 70s. Basically, they did.
It's funny. You'll think this is funny. I'm looking at all the record covers right now, and I recognize the Pink Floyd one, but the other ones I don't know.
They even did like the XTC cover. That's the typewriter, that says this is, that talks about it. Totally does the, it's kind of situationist, I guess, where it describes what a record cover is and how it promotes a record, but it's all just typewritten.
Tim Bauer says, wait, what did you write? Greetings from not Europe.
Oh.
So I want to know where he is, but he hasn't written. And Andy says, not Who's Next, but stuff like the early Peter Gabriel and all the Floyd.
All the Peter Gabriel
Dirty
and
Deeds Done Dirt Cheap.
That's right. Yeah, no, anything that's got like kind of like a really well done photograph and some kind of complex photo manipulation that now you can just do, in Photoshop in 10 minutes is hypnosis.
Oh, you actually have to go into Photoshop, or can you just use Midjourney?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, now all those images on Midjourney. Sorry, I'm dating myself talking about Photoshop.
Oh, you still do that stuff yourself in Photoshop? Get it?
Yeah.
So okay, well, I can't remember what else I wanted to say about the show. I remember now. Now, yeah, everybody's like, "Oh, Rose has so much fun on the stage," but that's because Matt is making me laugh constantly. He's always like making these goofy faces all the time, and then we have this joke where I don't remember, or somebody doesn't remember where the one is in the beat. So
Yeah, it's a joke.
he he goes one, like he'll make a face like he's doing like he's teaching an online lesson or something. 1, 2, and then that cracks me up. That's really funny. And he was like really nervous. I hope he doesn't listen to this. He was so nervous about the show for some reason. And he's working in the back. He's like working like right up to the show. He's doing work because he's a workaholic, and he was nervous. So I thought you were making fun of him on the stage there. I thought you were like glaring at him like you better not make a mistake, but that wasn't a glare. It was some other kind of look that you were making at him. What was
I was making a scared face.
Okay. Okay, Larry said, sorry, keep talking about the show. I had to say the title of the movie before I forgot it. No, I'm done. I don't know if anybody, like, I feel like we should talk about how fun it was to just be in a room full of people. And my sister was there too, and with her, and my niece was there. Yeah, Chris was nervous because Matt, one of his favorite drummers, was possibly he was totally watching you. The whole band was watching you. Yep. And you passed. It was great. But yeah, I think Matt is an incredible, fantastic drummer. And it's we're just privileged that we get to play. And it looked like Jim was having a good time too. I think he has a good time on the stage no matter what.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yes.
And you had a good time?
Yeah, as much as I can.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's move on. So you're going to talk about I started watching Succession. I'm on episode 2, season 1. I made it nearly
This
through the whole
classic
thing.
Rose, the
Yeah,
series.
I know.
It's been 5-6 years.
Just
It's
finished
been
watching Welcome Back, Kotter too.
Yeah. Yeah. So all I have to say is I called it.
Spoiler
I
alert.
knew. Yeah, I'm not going to say the spoiler for those of you who haven't watched the end of Succession, but it was like I was. I had called who was going to get it, who was going to win at the end. At least an episode at the end of the episode, previous episode, penultimate episode, if not earlier. I was like, oh, so-and-so's going to get it. And then at the beginning of the finale, final episode, I wavered a bit, but I was like, oh, no, so-and-so's going to get it. And I was right. And I was definitely constantly crowing about that during the whole ending of the show.
You were watching that with Derry King.
Derry King,
Columbia
and
Man.
He was getting irritated with me and wouldn't give me the satisfaction at the end. I was like, I told you, I said it, I called it over at least a week, if not a month ago, and I didn't get a thing like, yeah, you're right, you're the greatest
father in the world. You're so smart.
Figured it out. But I was right, and I knew why I was right, too. I had all the right reasons.
Yeah, Kim, you and me. So I watched the first episode of it like probably 6 months ago. I made it through that, and now I'm on the second, but I might have to go back and watch the first again. So
there's no reason for you to watch it. The only reason why you're watching it is because I said you're not going to watch it, right?
No, I
don't know if it's important to watch.
You guys like it so much.
It's terrible people.
And it's got the guy from Scott Pilgrim, who's the guy's brother, and I loved him in Scott Pilgrim.
Kieran Culkin.
Yeah, Kieran Culkin. I loved him in Scott Pilgrim.
Think you'd like him in Succession, though.
Nah, he's okay. I mean, yeah,
he's pretty
right.
awful.
Fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both have to watch it, Kim. That's going to be our sister pack.
You've already missed out. I mean, I was watching it, as it was like what was it, 8:00 Sunday night. I had to watch it and finish my puzzle time just to. If you need to, fear of missing out, you got to be watching it right when it hits the airwaves.
No, because we have fear of missing out on other things too, and so we're taking care of those things too, right, Kim?
But it was
Okay.
well done. I think it worked. I was very happy. They tied it up very well.
Unlike
Unlike Barry. So
Oh, okay,
Barry
good.
after that, me and Bag Boy then watched the end of Barry. Well, we watched the second to last episode of Barry.
This is Henry
And then
Winkler teaching, and then there's
Yeah.
like he's also a
And-
drug addict or something.
Yeah, and so
He's a drug
that
addict.
second to last episode is amazing. I love the second to
How
last
many
episode.
seasons of that are there?
3?
I
4?
tried to watch that. I don't know. Kim, did you try to watch that too? That one I don't know if I'm going to watch.
The motorcycle chase episode of Barry is that's where it peaked. That was the best episode. So
Are you
it
gonna
just
say-
went downhill.
Yeah, I am too,
Yeah.
Kim.
So my problem, and I don't think this is a spoiler. It's just the question is I after you watch the end of Barry, someone can talk to me. Please inform me what the lesson and you could say, oh, there. I guess you could say there's no lesson at the end. It's just there are good people and bad people, and the universe is random, and some people are punished and other people are not, and then some people are punished for something. But I mean, the closest thing to a takeaway I could get from the show is that actors and murderers are the same people. Like, like to
That sounds
to
very
be
self-serving.
yeah, to be a like
Oh,
I feel like
okay,
it's
wait.
an exploration of acting as dishonesty, but to the point of being on the level of being a hired killer, and that to me is disturbing. But it is also. I mean, I guess it's analyzing your art form to the point where you equate it to being similar to being a murderer.
All right, I was watching Jane Lynch talk here. She did her 3-week residency, and she's like talking about how, like somebody asked her, how do you play a mean character? She's just like, you just take whatever job you're acting. You just have to say yes to everything. Even if somebody wants you to play Hitler, that doesn't mean that you are Hitler, right? And somebody else had said that too, like right around the same time too.
But we talked about this a while ago. Is sometimes you do wind up though. It's like people won't let you be who you are and don't discern a difference, and you get trapped. And then at some point you might become that character
Hitler.
because people can't see you
you
as
get
not that
typecast.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even typecasting. It's just like if you do your job well, or the community, the collaboration, that your collaborators do such a good job, is that you no longer have your identity. Everyone views you through this identity.
I wish you were.
Identity.
You could have been there to fight with her. Because it is. I mean, I was thinking that too, and I was like, well, I'm not an actress, or I'm not an actor, so I have no idea.
I just listened to a Mary Tyler Moore interview from
That's
Fresh
what it
Air,
was.
and she was talking about Ted Knight, and like Ted Knight having a breakdown, like the first season of Mary Tyler Moore, and just going to James Brooks and who's the other guy, and just saying, people think I'm an idiot. I'm an intelligent, well-heeled gentleman, and people just constantly, call me, you're a lovable idiot, and it's like they can't separate. He could not. He had a crisis.
Yeah.
And then that was it. It was the other producer or whatever, and he was in tears, and then they talked him down and said, "You're just doing a great job, and you're an actor, and that's what it is. It's the power of that."
If you weren't an actor and you weren't that
then-
character, people wouldn't know who you were anyway.
And then I can't remember. And then James Brooks walked in the room and said, there's America's favorite idiot or something. to Ted Knight. Like said the worst possible
funny.
thing. Yeah, it was hilarious. But
Wait,
it was it's just yeah. So now the more I think about it, maybe that is what Barry's about. I don't think it is about anything. I think that's the problem is, and you could say, oh, that's the same about Succession. And we can hash all this out, but to me it's kind of like the stakes are pretty high with these kind of narratives, these serial narratives that we've been watching, right? And so something like Succession, they really did a good job I feel like
we're going to
finishing
move
it
on
off.
to Ted Lasso pretty
Yeah,
soon.
so
But wait, I
fucking
need
Ted
to. Okay,
Lasso,
all right.
man.
So Larry says, speaking of Henry Winkler, I just watched the 2-parter of Happy Days, the one with Pinky Tuscadero and the Malachi brothers. We got a thumbs up from Kim here, and Kim has just finished Beef on Netflix, so that's impressive.
Yeah,
You
Beef.
haven't watched that, have you?
I did watch Beef.
Oh, and
Yeah.
then Kim is saying, "Do it. It's different." To Larry.
I liked Beef, but also, yeah, I'm not sure.
What is that about?
It's about a road rage incident that flies completely out of control. So and both of the main characters are Asian Americans, so they're working out. Some of it is also working out class stuff. It actually is really great
Oh,
because
that sounds good.
because the class shit that gets worked out doesn't. Well, there's obvious there's a racial undercurrent, but because they're both, but one's a man and one's a woman, but it's like going through how their kind of revenge and their privilege or lack of privilege, how it all works out. It's,
Jesus Christ,
it's
that
more
sounds
of
really good.
an economic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions about, I guess, class that Americans find impossible to talk about.
That sounds fantastic. Andy's also saying Sweet Tooth on Netflix is pretty great.
Oh, yeah, I haven't watched that.
And The Righteous Gemstones on Max is pretty decent. The season starts soon. So
Sweet Tooth is the name of the ice cream in Mother, the Albert Brooks movie, where it's like, where do you find these brands? Sweet Tooth, I've never heard of this brand. And then the ice
how do
cream
you
also
remember
had.
that? Yeah,
It's
the
just always
protective
stuck in my
coating.
mind in the graphic of Sweet Tooth
Right.
ice cream, and then she talks about and he's like, what? It's got this covering on the top, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
so old.
protective layer,
Right,
And it's
yeah.
like,
We
you've
have that on
named
our
that.
ice cream now. Yeah. Righteous Gemstones. Okay, he said that. Chris says this is a little old news, but I loved The Bear. Season 2 is coming soon.
Yeah. The Bear was great.
I
couldn't watch it.
Yeah, it was too much. The camera was moving around too
And
much.
so what I liked about The Bear, so there's the single shot episode, but it's only 20 minutes long. And if you look at The Bear, each episode is as long as its narrative arc, which was my counter to, what was it, Andor, that I just got so angry at, where they would not know how to end.
It, ended in mid-sentence.
And it's like, you now have the
Cassian
freedom.
Andor would be like, and guess,
Yeah.
and Kim says she's half Asian, so it really resonated with her.
Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta watch it. Okay, all right, I'm gonna watch TV. I
don't know. I think Beef might be too much for you. I don't know. You might like it.
Does a small child die at the beginning?
Ooh.
That's my that's
Now
my
I
thing.
can't
So
remember. I don't think so.
that's the only thing I don't
it's
like is
all-
when a small child dies,
trying to
or if the
think.
camera is whipping around like somebody's wearing a. Like, yeah, if the camera's whipping around, I can't watch it because I get sick. There's got to be some kind of a plug-in for, I'll bet there's a plug-in that'll allow people with motion sickness to watch these movies where the guy's just like moving the camera around. Oh, this person talked. Oh, this person talked.
There's not,
Zoom in.
because that's already been legislated or gone through the courts about having the
Cringe moments.
the program, the VCR that would edit out, and the DVD player that would edit out.
Commercials.
No. The more could convert an R-rated movie to a PG movie that was popular with
Okay.
members of the Mormon Church, and so that whole idea of
Speaking of
using
that,
technology to edit a film for a different audience, there was a strong pushback against that by the unions, I believe, at least the Directors Guild. So you can't modify cinematographers
on
would not,
cinematography.
would not, because
right.
those are aesthetic choices.
Yeah,
and
it's
are
not
part of
even
the
that I
art.
hate it. I can't
Yeah.
watch it. I get sick. I actually go through. I get a weird migraine headache, and then I have to go throw up. And I don't even realize that it's happening to me, and then I get sick. I had to puke at the end of the Arcrum thing. We were in Portland, Maine. Ugh.
What was the first time it happened when we were going out? I remember was it's a
I
great
had to
movie,
walk
the
out of a
3-hour
movie,
movie.
Oh,
Sherman's
Sherman's March.
March. Yeah,
Oh,
Sherman's
I never
March.
got to see the end of Sherman's
It's an amazing
March.
movie, but it's almost all handheld.
Oh my God. what's the matter with me? I can probably take Dramamine or something. Yeah.
to watch.
Like
watch
have
a
to
movie.
be high in order to watch these movies. Okay, so well, should we move on to how much you hate Ted Lasso and like again, this is what I feel like when I'm watching Ted Lasso. It's like the opposite of having to watch a small child die at the beginning. Like it's the opposite of that. Like we always talk about like how every good movie you have to have a small child die at the beginning, or the woman has to give up her family in the movie just to set the scene, right? A small child like.
And so I agree. Ted Lasso was amazing. That first season is amazing. The second season, I'm not so sure about. This third season, to me, I was super angry about because it felt unfinished. It felt incomplete, even to the point of where it's not even Bag Boy wasn't watching. It was the younger.
He was
and
upset.
I were watching it, and we're like saying, you know what, what's going on with the lighting from one person's talking and then it cuts to the other person and the lighting doesn't match. It looks like they hadn't even finished doing color correction. The cinematography's off. There are moments that are done with green screen digital that look like first pass, like the kind of thing you would do, like if you've watched the 6-hour edit of Apocalypse Now and they haven't done like the crossfades and the edits and any of the what is it called? Yeah, the overlays and anything, and it's just all weird and clunky. It has that look where it's like things are unfinished, and then thinking about the storylines, like the main storyline, which to me is the Nate redemption arc, that
was me. Yeah, okay.
How many important things happened in the show outside of episodes, in between episodes, and I understand that as a construct. I don't have a problem with events happening outside of an episode, and then you're kind of like, oh, it's 3 weeks later, and all these things have happened, and now you're trying to figure out what's going on. But just doing that is not, in and of itself, is not clever. What's clever is doing that and then having it as being a powerful part of the narrative and using it, whereas to me it seems like, oh, all this stuff happened while you were gone, and then we're trying to figure it out. It worked at that last Ted Lasso episode, just at the very beginning, where it was like, oh, maybe it was just a setup for that, where it's like, oh, we think something's happened because they consistently don't show us things, and then they subverted that. Oh, something happened. But I don't think they're a lack of narrative sort of cohesion or just even it just felt like a first pass. And my worry is that they delivered that show under pressure on time, as opposed to what's going on with Severance, which is that it's the whole rumor that, oh, it's falling apart and everyone hates and everything, but really what's going on is that they're trying to make a second season that's not messed up, and so everyone's asking for more time. They're rewriting. They're going through this whole process to not screw it up. Whereas Ted Lasso feels like we delivered this, but it's a first pass, half-assed.
So I'm going to read the comments here. Chris says, I know Ted Lasso was all feel good wrap up in the final episode, but I don't care. I liked it. I'm the same way with you, Chris, because the people I just need some non-child being killed in my life on a screen, and the relationship. And I know, so there's somebody's talking about people being underutilized and I'll get to that comment in a minute. And I know that Keeley character is very underutilized. Like I've read articles about how underutilized that is. Now I've forgotten
I feel like but in some ways I think she was overutilized in a way where it was like you could say, so, yeah, I don't know. I feel like there was a lot about her, but it wasn't that productive.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so Chris said that. I agree with you, Chris. Kim Jameson says, agreed on your observation on Lasso, and I think that came through while you were complaining about the cinematography and probably the other stuff. Chris says, There were some things left unresolved or unused. Zava was a waste. Trent Krim was a little underutilized.
Everything, yeah. It definitely has that first draft feel, like where there are lots of
Yeah.
ideas, but it's kind of like, ooh, we're just gonna, and yeah, it totally felt like a lack of, second, third draft.
Andy says Ted Lasso season 3 would have been worlds better if they had a few more episodes, but it felt like they had to cram everything in there. But I still love it.
But the thing is it would have been nice if they crammed some other stuff that they left out.
Because I'd like to see what's her name have sex with Ted Lasso there. So they didn't, right?
They didn't.
Right.
But that was an example of where
cute.
you don't see what's happened, and you've been, you do a forward jump, right? They skip a lot of time, skip history, and then you're watching the aftermath, and that is a great narrative device, and I don't have a problem. Show me everything. I don't need to see everything, but hiding events and plot moments in and of itself does not make it clever or powerful in terms of narrative, right? And so
whatever,
like not showing anything that's and I understand, you don't want to talk about the Rupert stuff, you don't want to show like what happened with Nate, like how did Nate quit? It's like, oh no, Nate quit. And it's like, oh, here he is now, and it's like, oh no, now Nate's here, and it's like, why wasn't the whole fucking season Nate? Right? I mean, you built up, and then you could say, oh, well, it's Ted Lasso, and then it's like, okay, and if everything's from Ted Lasso's viewpoint, so he's not seeing what happens with Nate or anything like that, but we do see stuff that happens with Nate, so it's not, the show is not exclusively through the eyes of Ted and everything that Ted experiences. We see other characters' experiences with Ted's not present, and then if you start thinking about it, what's Ted's narrative for that whole third season? And it's that, what is his narrative? It's that he comes up with total football, and then they start winning again.
That was the one thing that I got upset about. I was like, I love Ted Lasso. I love this. I just love to watch it. I don't need it to be like some brilliant thing. I'm good with it. And then like I was like in the middle of the night, I was like, wow, did they just do like a, and so when they said, oh, we're going to Amsterdam, Rick's like, oh, drug episode. They're going to do drugs, like we had a good time, like guessing what was going to happen. Right. That was kind of like in a fun way. Right. But then I was like, wow, did he just like have a life-changing experience because of drugs? Like, is that what they did? And then they didn't, like at the end, like then it was like, oh, the drugs didn't work, ha ha ha, they weren't good drugs, so they kind of rescinded that. Like there was a lot of, I think they were trying to play with people like, oh, did they have sex or did they not? We don't know. There's a lot of like putting forth something and then like rescinding it.
And that's the new standard for these things, is for assholes like me, is to make me think that I know where things are going and go, the earliest form of this was like Manhattan, which no one watched, or that first season of Westworld, where it's like, oh, everybody, you smart ass, smarmy, film buffs, know everything
with crossword, with New York Times crossword.
Yeah, and we're
streaks.
gonna fuck with you and make you think that you're smarter than the show and smarter than the writers, and then we're gonna make you think that we're being stupid, and then we're gonna turn it on you, and you're gonna go, oh shit, they fooled me.
That never happens to me.
Yeah, and
I'm happy
so,
about it.
And that's the standard now, and I don't feel like Ted Lasso hit that with the, is not operating at that standard, and that's fine if you want it to be just the feel good kind of thing.
That's what I was gonna say.
And then but then it's a soap opera,
okay.
And you could say, oh, it's a soap opera, but it's like I watched All My Children for years,
you did.
And it's like, all right, come on, but the problem with that is that it's just stuff happening, and that it doesn't have that more kind of complex novelistic narrative that I
crave
as a connoisseur,
as a New York Times crossword puzzle
of contemporary serial narrative. Peak streaming is what I expect.
For me, the relationship between Keeley and Mrs. Rich, owner of the club, what's her name?
Jack.
No, not that one.
Oh, not that relationship.
No.
That completely useless relationship.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they just tossed her away. No, what's the owner of the team's name? Does she even have a name? The woman with the pretty white hair. The woman from
Yeah. Hannah Waddington is her real name.
Yeah.
I can't. That's
Yeah.
weird. I
the,
know
the
her
owner,
name.
the club owner. Okay, so it just calls her boss, like Ted Lasso. So anyway, boss and Keely's relationship. Rebecca, thank you, Chris. Rebecca, the Rebecca and Keely relationship for me, that's all I need to see ever. Like just the fact that there is a lady who's a boss, maybe not even her
Yeah.
boss either, like
I have no problem with
nurturing.
that.
I know
Yeah.
you don't have a problem with it. For me, it's a fucking special thing. It's like a fucking Jew in the White House or something. Like it's just like, oh my, like oh my God, there's like. Is that the name of the episode?
No, but I feel like I need to write down Jew in the White House somewhere. Need to
It's
document that.
Like for me, like that's like you don't see that, ever, and it's just like, oh my God, she's being nice to her. She's not conniving. She's not going to stab her in the back. Like it's a lady friendship with like she's just nurturing her, and it didn't have to be a lesbian friendship, and it was like a older lady nurturing and taking care of a younger lady, like in business situations, and like. I just love that. Maybe I just don't watch enough things with that. Like maybe I don't watch enough lady shows, but I just love that.
Yeah, I agree. But do you feel the third season did anything with that? And so I guess the argument would be is that they dead ended on that. They that was a powerful,
No, that's
positive part of the show, right?
Yeah.
But it's not something,
It went
I think
through
that's the
every
problem.
time you saw those two in a room together, there was something nice. It just felt nice. Like everything just felt nice instead of like having to feel horrible. I just loved it.
So here's the thing: is that niceness, though, right? You got to have some kind of conflict.
Why?
Well, because it's boring,
And that's
right?
what
So
they didn't, like-
they threw in all sorts of conflict, and so the radical conflict
bit.
after once you resolve the Rebecca Ted conflict, right, in the first season,
Yeah.
the radical one is okay. Now Nate's the bad guy,
Yeah.
and how we're going to watch his growth or
Right.
change into the bad guy.
His hero's journey.
Yes, and then the thing is like, okay, well, we can't make another Nate season, but it's like, well, why not? Like, how does he come back, from this? And I don't feel like I actually learned anything about how he resolved his issues. There was the moment with his
That's
father.
true. Yeah.
The
Yeah,
woman
that
who
was
hated
like-
him is now his girlfriend.
Why is he playing the violin?
he-
I know. Yeah, it's.
It was.
What do you want?
I
liked it.
and that's the thing is
I liked it.
I want
loved it.
more, but it's also it's
I'm
maybe it shouldn't. It's kind of like with Russian Doll. It's kind of like, oh, there was no reason to do a second season.
Yeah.
And I watched that second season. It's really freaking interesting and amazing. Like a scene where a woman's holding herself as a baby. That's fascinating, and they
Oh, I
explored a
didn't
lot
watch
of
that.
really interesting stuff. But it did not have the radical kind of power of the first season. So maybe it's just some of these things should only be one season. That's the question about Beef, right? Is like there's some question of whether or not Beef is going to continue, right? I think. And it's like it did kind of end, but it kind of didn't. And it's like, ooh, is this going to continue? How will they be able to do that? It's a really, really difficult puzzle. And, something like Westworld, I stopped watching it halfway through the second season because it was just like, okay, there's no reason to watch this anymore. It's just a new puzzle, but it's not as fascinating or, groundbreaking as the first puzzle.
Did you like anything about that last Ted Lasso?
Yeah, I mean, it's great, and the characters. I love shows with characters, and so the thing is there's that, but I think it felt incomplete, and it felt like, okay, we're just going to push it out, and I want to know why that happened. Is it because Jason Sudeikis doesn't want to do it anymore? Is it because everybody was working on all the other projects they started doing, and so they were giving half of their attention to it? Was it because Apple said, okay, you have to deliver this now, and they decided to just push it through? Was it that it was just a vacuum of, problems? They just weren't able to figure it out, or they were
They
doing
just
it
didn't, like,
doing it by committee.
good
right?
enough. Like
Yeah,
we were talking
good
about
enough.
the concept of good or
Yeah.
like good job. I can't remember. Like there's a Whiplash quote, right? And I love that movie Whiplash, where the mean evil teacher says, they're like the two worst words you can say are, are good job or something like that. Like
And the problem is when you have within the same week you have Succession, and they do it. Right? It worked. It also had lots of stuff hanging. It had drama. It felt like there was resolution, but there was also like, oh, these lives are going to continue on,
See.
and so it is possible to do, but maybe it's not always possible with the stories you have, right? And so, I mean, to be fair, yeah, but maybe they just needed some asshole in there to say, start cutting the fat, and start saying, no, you don't get scenes, you don't get to do this, we're gonna hone this down, and maybe that's what's happening with Severance, which is from rumor has it, is they're two showrunners who don't talk to each other, and it's basically like, is one of them the asshole who's saying, come on, you've got to make this work, and we've got to be brutal and
is it possible?
cut this to the bone.
Here's my question though. Is it like I know Succession. I'm already on episode 2 of season 1, so I know how it's going. Like it's like a lot of people are mean, people are terrible, a lot of strife, a lot of greed. And in Ted Lasso, there really is just like kind of just everything's like cotton candy, like everything's
But that's
just
not
good.
true. That's not true. That first season is not about happiness and light. It's about someone who is happiness and light coming into conflict with the real world. It's like when you place this positive force into the reality of business and capitalism and relationships and awful people, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge conflict. It's basically I'm using this person as a fool. This is a fool. The what is it called? The Russian kind of thing. It's what
I
they
can't
call
remember what
Trump,
it's- yeah,
but
yeah,
it's different. It's a little different
Right.
where it's like, oh, I'm using this person to destroy this thing that my ex-husband loves, right? And that's a huge conflict, and that's a huge kind of evil
all right,
narrative,
I
right?
All right, but
so-
by the end of
Yeah.
of season 3, everything's kind of resolved. You've learned to live through strife and stuff. And so is it just a not as easy to make a powerful message with happiness and light?
Well, but if you think about what happened in season 2, is it's saying, well, how can this positive force actually be? Oh, it's a coping mechanism. Why is this person this way? And it's like, this person is deeply damaged, right? And they're using that positivity not just simply because they're a beautiful, positive person. It's because they've been horribly damaged because of their father's suicide, right?
Wait,
Spoiler.
Ted Lasso's dad killed himself? I forgot.
Jesus Christ.
Really?
And yes.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. And
I
he
have to
has
watch that
anxiety
again.
attacks, and
That-
he
that I
goes
remember,
through
yeah.
therapy, all of that stuff, right?
Bye, Chris.
So it's like that's
Yeah,
and-
the
and
therapist was
so
dropped too. Yeah.
digging deeper into that idea of why is someone this positive, and what interesting, when the mother shows up, what is it, the second to last episode? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, why the fuck not have the mother show up at the if you want to do some exploration of Ted Lasso, right? All that
They
dynamic
probably
is
didn't
beautiful.
They didn't
Actually,
have. Yeah, they didn't
where
have
you
enough
see-
time.
You see that relentlessly positive person,
Right.
and then the mother shows up, and it's like he's just like, this fucking woman is making up shit, doesn't tell the truth, is relentlessly positive, and it's like that could have been a whole season, right? Or at least that could have been Ted Lasso's narrative is his mother and the fact that you've got a person who is, has this positive disposition,
Right.
and then you see the mother who has the same kind of thing but maybe slightly different, and see how they interact. And they worked through that. It was great, but it was one episode that they did that.
Right, because they didn't have enough episodes. So I just thought of. I probably talked about this before, but Everything Everywhere All at Once. The Waymond Wang character, his positivity. He's positive because that's his coping mechanism too.
And that's the other
Two
thing.
positive
Yeah.
characters in like that's why I like those things.
Yeah, I have nothing against positivity and positive characters. But if you actually are clinical about what the first season of Ted Lasso was, it wasn't just simply a positive person. There was a conflict there, right?
Yeah.
But the positivity, won.
Well,
at
I
the
liked
end.
I liked the positivity, and I liked the team too. Everybody in the team has like these weird they really like. I feel like even all the team people had like a little backstory too. There was a lot of stories like with
Yeah.
people, Like
Yeah.
I fell in love with all the the whole team. I fell in love with all the characters. So, I'm, sorry. I liked it. I feel like this is how I felt probably when that second to last Star Wars movie came out. I was like, I like it. It's good. And then I watched it later. I was like, fuck that guy. I love Danny. I know. I was going to talk about Danny. Kim says she loves Danny. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I love Roy Kent. I love the sports fans too.
So that little thing with Danny becoming evil
that was weird
as a competitor,
Yeah.
right? And that I was okay. I'm okay with that just being a little side riff.
Yeah,
I
you were
loved
laughing
that part.
about that. Yeah,
I also don't feel like that needed to be a narrative that extended beyond that episode. So I'm not. But I think there do need to be these narrative arcs, and I felt like they were badly handled.
It'd be interesting, yeah, because they probably spent just as much time doing the evil Danny thing as they did with, Ted Lasso's mom is here now all of a sudden out of nowhere, and she's toxically happy or they have
in denial.
They have it out.
Right. It's about being in denial.
Well, maybe they just didn't have enough. I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't have enough time. Well, they had too many threads, and then.
That's unfortunate.
But it's weirdly squandering like the important things, and then not even having. Like, yeah, I would. Why would we not want to see a Rupert, Nate? Like,
yeah, how
quitting.
Nate quit. He may have just left.
Yeah, but
Maybe he just didn't come back.
Yeah, wouldn't that be interesting to see that though?
That's kind of what we saw.
We didn't see it.
Well, to me, I just thought, he's not coming back.
That happened in between episodes.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Andy Lester is okay. Andy's. Let's see here, because I missed some stuff that people said. Oh my
And
God.
I'm saying this because I did like Ted Lasso, and
Yeah,
I have a
yeah.
high standard for it, and I think that's
Andy's saying,
for some
did
reason
Nate
it didn't.
quit or fired? I figured Rupert fired him. No, he quit. He quit.
I don't know though. Are you sure? Yeah.
Sure, he quit because. Well, I don't know. Yeah, see, it was interesting. Okay, so Larry was asking how we like Max now, and he says that he doesn't like the added reality shows. Do we get Max? I don't know.
We had to switch over. I switched everything over, but haven't noticed because I only watch my shows. I only watch my stories.
Andy says one episode of Mom is not an arc, and Danny the crazy competitor is not an arc. They aren't really arcs;
Yeah,
they're short
but I'm
lines.
I'm okay with Danny crazy competitor. I love that as a little. So you have to have that, right? You have to have. It's like
little side.
I mean,
side.
this is not rocket science, right? This is writing, right? Which is that you have the overarching arcs, right? You have those larger arcs, and that's what's amazing about peak. streaming the serial television is that you have the little internal stories. And this is why that Andor stuff would piss me off, is because it had the long arc, but then it was just, I'm going to dice this up into 10 pieces, not that each of those 10 pieces then have their little arcs and little sub arcs and everything in there, right? And it's about weaving that tapestry. But it's like if it's just, and I guess like the quilts that you make out of squares, right? I guess that's fine, and that can be a beautiful thing. But if it falls apart because you haven't sewn the squares together, you just have a pile of squares, and then at the end you say, "Oh, I'm going to staple this all together at the last minute and give it to you."
Yeah, and put a couple extra things that I cut out of another blanket or didn't, like there's holes. Andy says he thinks Nate was fired. Kim says he quit. Michael Thomas says, I'm playing music right now. Ha ha ha. I don't. Then Larry says HBO Max is just Max now. Oh, I didn't realize. I forgot. I'm sorry. It was like Cinemax. I thought you were talking about Cinemax. Remember that?
That is what. So it's a very, very complex little history here. But so you have HBO, you have Cinemax. Then when they did streaming, they created HBO Max. So it's the HBO and Cinemax brand. Now, HBO has been purchased by Discovery, right? And so now Discovery is all about reality shows. And so they've fused the HBO Max with Discovery content, and then they're calling that Max because they want to have a more blanket streamer, right? So HBO Max was kind of this fancy streamer, right? Just like HBO, right? And so just in the same way you'd pay a lot of money for HBO on cable because it was premium, right? So HBO Max kind of had that premium veneer, but now Discovery,
it's just called Max.
It's going to be this just, bucket of entertainment and not specifically premium
kind of
HBO.
Like Dunkin' Donuts is now just called Dunkin'. Is that what it's like in today's International Donut Day?
Yeah, if you consider donuts a premium, right, product, and then now we're selling coffee too, so we're going to just be called Dunkin'.
I think they have avocado toast.
Exactly.
They do.
Exactly. But
Michael wants to know if there's any jazz requests.
All right. I didn't realize I didn't realize how angry I am about Ted Lasso.
I did. It was really irritating. You're like fuming mad. I'm like trying to watch the end of Ted Lasso, and they're putting a little sign back together, and I'm like, just let me have this moment. And you're like fuming mad. You're so angry.
I mean it takes me out of it when I see basically special effects, green screening that I could do on my laptop, and would do, if you're doing a rough cut, it's like, and then that's what gets fed to you, and then realizing that everything's half-assed. They've half-assed this season. I really believe it. I think they half-assed it.
Do you think there'll be any articles about why it had been half-assed? Like, because like my Facebook feed is full of, and Roy Kent does this, like the guy who plays.
Well, yeah, other guy plays Roy Kent. So Brett Goldstein, produced that whole and wrote that whole show. With Harrison Ford and Man Boy, our generation, or the next generation's Man Boy. What's his name? Jason Segel, right? And so that's and. Actually, if you think about it, that's a therapy show, and so hearing interviews with Brett Goldstein, he's fascinated with therapy, and so that's why the therapist left out of Ted Lasso, is because he just dumped all of that obsession into this new show for Apple TV.
And he couldn't have it in two different places. Well, did you watch any of that?
No, I haven't watched that. I watched the Big Door Prize, which is I'll rant about that. I liked it, but it's got the other problem, which is that, and this happened with, what's the show with the woman from The Americans that was on Netflix that was about the woman who's the ambassador to England. It's same thing happened where it's 8 episodes long and it's basically half a season. You get half. That happened with the Jeff Bridges, John Lithgow show. Is they produce half a season now, and you watch it, and it's not a cliffhanger. It's half a season. They've done 8 episodes, and it feels like 8 episodes, and they're really great. But it's like, oh, so this is a test balloon, and either if it's good enough and enough people watch it, we're going to finish and do another 8 episodes to create an actual 16-episode season.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, and so that big door prizes like that. What is it called? Oh, I wish I could remember the name of that show on Netflix.
Andy says we watched 2 of the therapy show and hated it. He hated it. Oh,
yeah.
That's a bummer. Well, to finish up, you want to say anything about our accomplishment today, our garage sale?
Selling the
bike trailer.
Bike trailer.
And
Sold
2
the
bikes.
Bike trailer.
And
2 bikes.
2 bikes, and then... Yeah,
the telescope.
Also, like the telescope. Yeah, Mom, we sold the telescope you gave us. That
Did
you
not
couldn't
sell the exercise machine, the great white
that
whale
like,
of
why is that not? It wasn't in the front yard.
It's because I've lost somewhere in the past 2 years. I've lost the power adapter for it, so I'm going to have to buy a new power adapter, see if it still works. It was the star of the last garage sale, or the what is it? Always a
bridesmaid, never a bride.
Right, exactly, of the last garage sale. And then it's been sitting around, and I've had that frickin' power supply with it, wall wart, and then...
I got rid of the, I guess what I sold the Keurig 2.0 that was donated to us for.
How much?
0.
Oh, you just gave it away?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's fine.
Because somebody was like, does this work? And I was like, I don't know. You want to take it for free? And they were like, sure. Poster children garage sale must be epic. It's
not.
Like people. I'm trying to think of anything else. Like I've got like all like I said like eclectic women clothes, which are my clothes because I'm an eclectic woman. And people came by and I was like, oh man, like I don't have any of the really good clothes out there because those I could sell on Poshmark.
But like a millennial or a Gen Z, I couldn't tell, bought a pair of your shoes, right? And then some
Doc Martens.
They were Gen Zs, right? No, they were millennials.
Oh, the millennials that were on our porch, like
and
trying out, like came by, like right when we were closing.
And they took selfies.
Taking selfies with
your
with
clothes,
the
and I was so angry that Rose did not charge them for the selfies. It's like, okay, no, that's $1 each.
What else there were moments when it was like, oh, let's go back into the house and find some more things to sell, because this is great. Like it's actually, because our house is full of crap. It's so full of stuff. And then there were other moments where it was like people were looking at a couple of my dresses and I was like, and they were like, and then they passed them by. And then like after they left, I just took the dresses. I was like, no, I'm not selling these. Forget it.
What is that? There is a movie or a TV show where the person decides as they're talking to someone who's about to buy something, they take it away and say, "No, I'm not going to sell this to you."
I don't know. Yeah,
I wish I could remember what it was.
It sounds like
super
Albert
funny
Brooks.
though. Yeah, like it's not that old, but it's something.
Comic books for sale. Oh, that's a good idea. No, we don't have any comic books for sale. Like I've actually I got a couple of Love and Rockets. I've got like comic books that are probably like that's the thing is like. Like I was like, hey, why don't I move my 810 cabinet upstairs to sell? And Rick was like, no, absolutely not. You can't sell it. I was like, why? I bought it for $350 at a garage sale. And then you were like, look at it. Look at how much it is on Reverb. And I looked at it, it's like, $2,000 or something. And Rick's like, it's more vintage than that one that's being sold.
You just need to, that stuff you need to sell to a directed audience. I mean, the people who walk around garage sales and buy music equipment are the ones who say, I just got a 1957 Les Paul for $200 and now I'm going to sell it for $20,000. That's the kind of person that buys musical equipment at garage sales is insane deals with an ignorant person who doesn't know the value of the musical equipment. Oh, this is old. Look at how yellow and cracked.
I'm selling my husband's old guitar. Yeah.
That's just
Yeah, he's not here, so I'm going to sell it for him, you know. Yeah, I'll take $200 for it. Shit, we should be walking around why aren't we walking around? How come you
well,
didn't
because
go
people
walk
are
around?
smart and they can go on their phone and they could just look up. Most people are.
That's
yeah.
the thing. Then put then we could sell that amp for that. There was somebody who came by and they were like, I was like, yeah, some like I can't remember. They were like looking at some of the little plastic toys and stuff, and I was like, oh, those are quarter each, and they were like, I only have $1, and I was like, oh, I don't have any quarters, and they're like, just take $1 here, take it, you know. There's some really rich people walking around here. Rick is talking about the garage sale episode of Mike and Molly.
I've never watched Mike and Molly, but that's funny. It was something else. I'm sure it's not a unique narrative or interaction, but it's definitely not Mike and
It
Molly.
could be.
I
It
didn't
could
watch.
be. It sounds like a. Now I can't remember the guy's name. The Jewish guy who Me Too'd
Curb
people.
Your
No,
Enthusiasm?
the other older Jewish guy,
Jerry Seinfeld.
even older. When you said Manhattan, I thought you were talking about like then like.
There's a TV show called Manhattan about the Manhattan Project.
Right.
It had the woman from Marvelous Mrs. Maisel in it. Actually, was a character, but
Okay.
they did that where that was a great
Larry
show.
says, never mind. I think you hurt his feelings.
Mike and sorry because I laughed and said I never watched Mike and Molly. Yeah, that's that type of television entertainment is beneath me. The situation comedy, the unrefined situation comedy.
This is from a man
Three
who.
cameras shot in front of a live audience.
This is a man
No,
who
thank you.
spends his nights watching Wild Wild West.
Single camera comedy. Yes.
All right.
I watched a I've been watching what 3-camera comedy did I watch? I can't remember.
Three's Company.
No, I never watched that either.
Oh, I watched that.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Wasn't there a gay person in it?
No, it was a guy who pretended he was gay.
Oh. Okay.
But however, yeah, Billy Crystal played a gay character in Soap. Maybe you're confusing it
maybe.
with that. Yeah.
Rose, if your issues of Love and Rockets are earlier editions, yeah, I know that's the thing is that I probably have like the 4 comic books that I have. I know I have like I've got some real expensive comic books. I know I have some. Right?
Welcome to the Antiques
Road
Pod
show.
Show. Just gonna pull things out of our house
What else
have
do we
somebody
have? Yeah.
evaluate their value.
Oh, we could,
You have the Scott McCloud comic book that's worth a huge amount of money.
right.
The original printing of what is it called? Smash, Pow, Bang. What is it called? What is that comic book called? It's huge.
Yeah.
And then
It's
you
like
had him sign
Crunch
it
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had him sign it when he was.
But he would only sign it if you personalized it and you promised not to sell it, because his problem was that people were just
Shit, I shouldn't have made
people
him
would
sign
have
it.
him sign it,
Yeah.
and then they would sell it on eBay
Right.
for thousands of dollars because it was signed, and he said I don't sign this, but he signed it for you because you promised.
He was
to,
impressed that I had it.
Yeah, and then you said, and you allowed, or he said, I'll sign it to you because that decreases the value, right? So if it's just a signed copy, I think it's much more valuable,
Sure.
right? And it was that, yeah, you brought in, and so he accepted that, but he did not want it to be a money grubber thing. He didn't like the money grubbers.
Larry's saying don't sell the red plate. No, the red plate is underneath my jewelry.
The red plate is already a used.
Yeah, we got that from
resale
down
thing.
the street.
Garbage.
The people down the street from us, like half of the stuff in this house is from the people down the street's garage sale.
And then the other half is from the neighborhood thrift store.
Oh my God! This is a great the garage sales here are great, but like they started today, so like tomorrow if you're going to be here, you got to get here early. The garage sales are terrific here. Okay.
All right.
Now, see, that reminds me of the cows poster. Somebody's selling a cow, like a what's the guy's
Isn't
name
that
again?
the rule? Is if somebody makes a poster for the show, at least one the band gets at least
I
one
feel like
copy?
we had one.
I don't feel like we ever had a copy of that. I'll look through the archives.
Now I can't remember the guy's name again.
Shepherd Ferry.
Thank you. There's a Shepherd Ferry cows / poster children / what silverfish. Is that it?
I don't remember. I
Cows-
feel like we talked about it already.
Cows
but,
and poster children on eBay for $1,250, $1,250. It's signed. It's number 6 out of. Oh, the Bird Machine is having a garage sale next Saturday. That's cool. 6 out of 46. It's got a cow on it, and it says cows and poster children. And what I want to know is, can I just make one from the pictures that I have on there? Because
No.
Shannon Cow doesn't have one either.
Yeah. Who has? Yeah. Not cool, man.
I'm gonna make one. I'm gonna make 2 and give one to the cows.